Okay, so today is the April 15th, and it's once again my honor and privilege to be able to share the review with you. And let's move on to the next page. So previously, last week, on our review, we spoke of two themes. One is the emptiness. Once again, it's talking about there's no left, no right, and therefore there's no middle. And when there's no middle, what does that mean? It means that you know the path. You know the path and how we should actually proceed. And it's really not exactly emptiness, but it's rather something that you should have in your heart. And that's what Buddha has always been saying, is that we have this inspiration, this Buddha nature that is inherently in our heart to begin with. And also, as we are approaching on the anniversary, last week we also talked about the meaning of pilgrimage, which was something that was important as we wanted to make our pilgrimage, but we also wanted to make sure that we understand the meaning and we do it for the right reasons. So that was what happened last week, and this is a quick summary of what happened last week. This week, as we are about to begin on our as we are actually approaching on our 51st anniversary, and that's going to be on April 20th. So it's next week. As we are approaching that, it's a very special event, and many people will be coming home to Hualien, and there will be many celebrations, which is wonderful. And also, we had just concluded the 2017 International Board meeting here at the Hualien abode. And we have presenters from 17 countries. And also, in total, 20 countries representatives came back to the abode. And we gather here, and then together we share our stories, and we share what each country had done. So these are the two very important things that had happened. And therefore, today, we are not going to be talking about the Lotus Sutra. However, it's a very special occasion where we're actually able to combine what the different countries have presented and done with the sutra itself. So this is something that we are doing that is a little bit different from before. From before, what we did was we take the master's teaching for the past 7 days, the whole week, and then we do a review of the teaching. However, because we had this international board meeting, what we're going to do, and what I'm suspecting, is that not a whole lot of you was able to be present throughout the entire 4 days of the meeting. So what I thought about doing was, I'm just going to pick up some of these stories from the board meeting, and then I'm going to try to combine them with what we have seen so far in the Lotus Sutra. And it's actually it's amazing how fitting the sutra is, in that it is essentially walking the path of what we are seeing in our everyday lives. So today we're going to talk about 3 countries. Remember, there are in total of 17 countries that were presented. More if you counted United States actually going across to the Central and South America. But 17 countries pretty much in total. And we only have time, hopefully, to do 3 today. And next week, we also are preparing to do the same review. And next week, there's only going to be 1, and that's called South Africa. And that's going to be a lot of very interesting and wonderful stories. So this will be the preview for next week. But anyway, so today we're going to be talking about 3 countries. The 3 countries, first is the United States, and then the Philippines, and then Malaysia. I'm sure most of you are from Malaysia. You probably know this story, but all these things, there's more to it. And when I heard these stories, there's really something more in terms of the Dharma, in terms of the principles. So let's get right onto it. So first, in the United States, they talked about many things. Disaster relief was one of the main things that US talked about. But I really want to talk about this particular story. This is the mobile clinic. This is the mobile clinic that the United States have. Let's move on to page 6. Everybody should be able to see page 6. And in page 6, we see the mobile clinic. And now, this was the first mobile clinic they had several years back. Now they have a total of 7 of these mobile clinics. And the reason why they talk about this was that there were so many remote regions. Now that with this mobile clinic, they're able to reach out to the more remote areas to be able to help them with their dental and their visual, their optics, the eye doctor. So this is the picture of what is inside this van or inside this mobile clinic, where they actually have eye examination and also dental units to be able to help people. Most notably, I wanted to share with you is that they have shared that because of what they have done, because of what they were able to do in this mobile clinic, they were able to provide dentures within the same day for these people that came to seek our help. So you can see in this picture that for these people, when they have these teeth, okay, not really in good shape, and because of these mobile clinic and all these equipments that were there, they were able to help these people to restore their teeth. And that in a way allowed them to not only be more confident, but actually help them, because now they're able to go out and find a job. They don't have to worry about other people thinking about them in a bad way before they even start talking. And so this is something that it was the effect that you probably don't see very often if we don't have this problem, if we have never seen these problems before. And on page 11, we talk about a particular story that was shared by the Tima doctor from the US. For 30 years, this patient of hers, Jose, he had never had gone to any dentist visit. And now with the new denture itself, his life was reborn. And the reason was because he had a huge infection. And I even give you the news link to it, because you should see this one for yourself, because it was amazing how he was actually a car mechanic and his teeth was hurting. So what did he do? He took a mechanic's wrench and he pulled his teeth himself. And because the teeth wasn't set correctly on his gum, so when he pulled it out, not only was there profuse bleeding, there was also a huge infection, and he was infected. And then our doctor began to treating him and helping him restore his teeth. And not only that, but helped him and directed him to our other departments where he thought he had diabetes. But then we helped him to determine that he had no other conditions, and we helped him to fix his other things. And not only that, but we actually told him, we helped guide him to become a volunteer and also help other people. So this is just something that I thought was something that was very interesting. So furthermore, this mobile clinic not only was able to provide with the dentist visit, but also they did something with children. They go into the schools, and then they were actually helping them with their eye exams. Now, for some of you, it might be very simple. Like, what do you mean eye exams? But these are the exams to help these children where they probably never ever seen an eye doctor or optometrist, where they were able to, get their sight tested, get their eyesight tested. So these are the children that when they are going into the van, going to the mobile clinic, get to test it. And right away, we cut out the glasses for them, the corrective lenses for them, and we put them onto the glasses frames for them. So then they were able to, these two are the twins, and we're able to help them see better, because a lot of them actually didn't know that they have eyesight problems until they're being corrected. And some of them actually have very, very serious sight problems. When they're able to see better, it was a brand new world for them, because it's very different if you can imagine how the whole thing would be different. So on page 15, very quickly, This is something that we got from, I think, 3 weeks ago, when Master talks about guarding our 6 roots. There are the 6 roots that we have. And usually when you talk about the 6 roots, it's really just the 6 sensory organs. So it's our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and the mind. These are the 6 organs, or the 6 functions where our body uses to receive signals from our surroundings, to receive stimulus from our surroundings. Master says we have to guard these 6 roots, for these stimulus or stimuli are the cause to many of our afflictions, because we see something and then we want. We hear something and then we like. We smell something and then we want to get it. We taste something and we want to eat more. So these are the 6 roots that we need to guard them very carefully, because they are the sources of many of our desires that usually lead us to do something that we do not want to do. Okay, so the 6 senses actually are intertwined with the 6 stimuli, and they are: eyes will see the form, ears will hear the sounds, nose will smell the smell that's around us, tongue will have the taste, the body will be the touch, and mind is actually when we're using to think. So these are the 6 roots that we need to safeguard. However, in the story that I had just shared, when I heard the US team share about what their mobile clinic was doing, this is something different, something from the other direction. Their 6 roots, in this case, it was their eyes and their teeth, were actually blocking them. Their eyes were not able to see well. Their tongue or their mouth, their teeth were not good enough, so that it blocks them from many things. However, it's not just guarding the 6 roots so then they guard you from doing something that is bad, but it's also doing one step further. We are improving the senses. We're improving the roots in the way that we give you a brand new world. Now that your eyes are fixed, you are now broadening your vision to see something more. Similarly, we have now fixed their eyes so then they can not only see what's in front of them, but also they can see a life of hope and a life of love. Same as their body and same as their mouth and the teeth. To me, this is the same as in our precept. When our first precept says we should not kill. But what's the extension of no killing? The extension of no killing means protection of all sentient beings, protection of all life forms. And that's the extension. Same thing here. Guarding the 6 roots, it should be our precept. But the extension of that is to improve on the 6 roots, so that when we open our eyes, there's no way that we just go around in our everyday lives and cover up our eyes, cover our ears, and don't smell, and don't eat, and don't touch, and don't think. You can't. So what does that mean to guard? Not only are we going to be vigilant and be careful, but we are also making sure we put ourselves in a position to see the good things, to hear the kind words, to say the good words, to do the good deeds. And that's the connection that I wanted to make with this particular story that I found to be very interesting. So on page 16, see, for the US, they presented for, I think, about 5 hours. And I did it, I think, in 10 minutes. So I apologize. It's a total of 4 days. And I'm not talking about 4 days of, like 30 minutes each. It's a whole day, like the morning 3 hours, afternoon 4 hours. Okay. So sometimes it goes into 5, but 4.5, but it's a whole day. And I'm trying to squeeze all of that into something that I thought would be something interesting. So please bear with me. And now on page 16, we're talking about the Philippines. Now, Philippines is also, they began with disaster. I mean, all these countries that began with disaster, but they always end with a vow. It all began with disaster. So-and-so, what year, all these disasters happened. But they all ended with a vow, because disaster is something that inspire our compassion. The vow is the result of that compassion. When you are inspired, you want to do more. So Philippines, many touching stories, but this is the one that I thought is the most overwhelming to me. It just blew me away. And I hope It will blow you away in a good way. Okay, so the Philippines, we're talking about, I'm not even sure how to pronounce this correctly, but I'm just gonna try, and please bear with me. It's Boho, okay? Boho. Okay, so I titled it Boho Not Forgotten, okay? So what does that mean? Here we see on page 17, in 2013, probably many people remember what happened on November 8th, which is the day that the super typhoon Haiyan, okay, touches down on the Philippines, and it wreaked havoc in this country. It created many, many problems, and all these years, even right now, we are continuing. We have finished Da'ai Village, and we are actually doing many, many more touching stories there. And they also presented, which I'm not going to share that with you. You should be able to see that on the Da'ai News. But anyway, what most people forgot was that on 2013, October 15th, which is about 3 weeks before the super typhoon Haiyan, which everybody remember, on October 15th, there was a magnitude 7.2 earthquake that struck the Bohol region, or the Bohol province of the Philippines. And this was something major, because when our volunteers went in within a week, we saw the devastation that was beyond words. It was horrible, and we were there, and there were schools that were damaged, and there were plans of what we're going to do. However, when November came around and the super typhoon came, the entire focus was shifted to Haiyan, okay? So everybody was talking about this, how bad it was. And remember, this was the big news. It went on the CNN, it went on the global news, international news, and everyone was talking about it. And all of a sudden, Province Boho's earthquake was forgotten. And so, Master said, do not forget Boho. And it was this one sentence, when all the Philippines, they were here, the volunteers from the Philippines, they were here, and they were beginning to think about what they're going to do. I remember that year, because that year, our commissioner training camp, the certification retreat happened in November, and they gathered here, and in Taipei, I was there too, they began to talk about what they're going to do in this disaster relief. So Master spoke to them. It's good that they go see, but do not forget, because it happened before the Haiyan, super typhoon Haiyan. Don't forget that we have made the promise that we're going to go help them. So even though there is this huge devastation that's happening with Haiyan, and it was right next to Bohol province, but don't forget that we are going to go there. So very quickly, a perspective of where Bohol is. This particular, the one that is being shown, is the Bohol province. And Haiyan comes from the right side of the map, of the picture on page 19, and it hits the upper right-hand corner of the Bohol province. So, for example, Tacloban, Layet, this is the province that to the upper right-hand side of the Bohol province. So they're right across. And they're very close. And so Master says, even with all these things happening, do not forget that we have made a promise, and do not forget that there is a huge devastation there. So forget they did not. And this was half a year later. We're seeing on page 20, there's almost 1,700 participants on the first volunteer training seminar. They remember, and not only that, they brought the whole deal, everything, the 4 missions to the Bohol province. They began to do their volunteer training. Not only are they doing the disaster relief, but they began to do the volunteer training seminar. And not only that, but they also began to do education. What we're seeing here is a scholarship. And next on page 22 is we also help them rebuild their classrooms. And we're talking about more than 120 classrooms, semi-permanent classrooms that is seen on page 22 and 23, more than 120 of these spanning across 44 schools in this Bohol province. So we're talking about 44 schools. It's a huge span of covering a huge piece of land just to help them build these very very economical and temporary, semi-permanent classrooms. Okay, and so next, there's also charity mission where we provided them with rice, and this region is also traditionally not very rich. People are not exactly rich, but they're not poor either. But we also provided charity, and so very quickly, the operating office, the operations office, or the branch office was opened within a year. You can see all these people supporting from Manila and also the other branches of Philippines. And this is what they're doing now with their scholarship also. Their scholarship, all those people, all those students dressed in blue in the back, they are our college scholarship recipients. And there's now more than 100 of these in the Bohol region, in the Bohol province. And not only are they doing charity and also education and also scholarship presentation, they're also helping with local disaster relief and trainings. On page 29, this is their orientation on environmental protection and recycling and sorting, and of course the Da'ai village or the Great Love Village. There's a groundbreaking ceremony, and so the Great Love Village was open for people that have lost their homes. And on page 32, this is what we see on their on the new homes. Amazing. So in that new home, what do? We have a clinic center, and then we also do free clinic. So these are the cases that otherwise would not have been seen, would not have been known. So this young lady, Judith, only 19 years old, and she had this cylindroma, which I don't even know what it is, but it just looks horrible. But because now our volunteers are there, we are now exploring and we are seeing more of these cases, and we're helping them. Otherwise, can you imagine this young lady going through lives with this thing on her head? And we took it out, and look at this is amazing. Okay, so Angelique Marie, I think that's how you pronounce her name, or Marie. This is something that's even different. Okay, Master has spoke of this. It's almost like the tumor, or that it's happening in the story of the Water Repentance Sutra, where there was something, a sore that grew on the injury, on the wound, and it has a face. If you look at on the right side of the picture, it really looks like there was a face there, and there was someone there. And what happened? Well, in any event, I think the legs was amputated. So as this picture that you can on page 37, you can see the leg was amputated, and now she was able to walk, and she has able to lead a very normal life. And on page 38, she came back with her family to see and thank Master for her new life. And this was amazing, because without these people, you were not able to see these people. And this is on the left, you see the picture, okay, of the injury. Do you know what happened here? It was actually a knife. It was a knife that cut across her face, and it was cut. It was done. It was committed by her own son. How will we know about this? Because our volunteers were there, going into the lives of these people, helping them and restore them. Look at on the picture on the right. She's smiling, not only because of the injury and of the reconstructive surgery, but it was because of our volunteers that were treating her like family and was able to soothe the spiritual injury that she sustained. So this was what happened. And all of that changed because they listened and they remember what Master said. Do not forget. And this is like what in chapter 10. In chapter 10 of the Lotus Sutra, the teacher of Dharma, Master told us that even if you're able to only uphold one verse, even just one verse, one sentence, one phrase of the sutra, you will be able to attain Buddhahood. Not only so, you will be able to, if you uphold it and if you preach it, then a stupa or the treasure tower will emerge. And from within the treasure tower, you will see the entirety of the Buddha himself. All these things are happening. We see the Great Love Village rising from the ground because they did not forget. We see these people, they are transformed because they did not forget. We see all the envoys of Master, all the representatives from Taiwan going there to help them build these temporary, semi-permanent classrooms because they did not forget. It shows that from chapter 10, these are the benefits of believing and having faith because they did not forget. So when I hear this story, it was all about not forgetting the teachings. And also in chapter 12, we must remember our vow. And Master showed us that when we have promised this to somebody, we must not forget. So moving on to the last of the story, Malaysia. There are many, many wonderful, touching stories that involve many of you. One of the bigger stories was, of course, the TIMA, the International TIMA Conference that took place in Malaysia this year. But I picked this story because it really, really touched me. Was the 1500 and reconnected. And what does that mean? So it was reported that there were 1,500, on page 42, there were 1,500 brothers and sisters. Along the way, they have left the commissioner training program. They felt maybe it was not enough time. Maybe they see somebody they didn't like, or they see something they didn't like, or whatever the reason. They didn't go into detail about all 1,500, but we can all see and understand. I'm sure there are times for some of us, and some of these times, that we have felt the urge to back away from the commissioner training program. Okay, so what did they do? They said, let us help bring back the 1,500 brothers and sisters that they have left. Let us contemplate, what have we done wrong? And let's figure out, how do we love them back? So they began their program by saying, hey, let's bring some of these people back to Taiwan and look at this. This is pilgrimage, which is going to take place this month. Many, many people, including today, there's going to be more than 2,000 people coming here. And if you've been back here before, a boat is not exactly big, but they are here. They're here to do a pilgrimage. So more than 60 of these 1,500 came back. They did their pilgrimage in the rain. Nothing could stop them. Yes, no, I understand. It's not snowing or anything, but in the rain nonetheless. They put on their raincoat and then they do the pilgrimage. It was wet on the floor. They continue to kneel down and they show their sincerity, okay? So 65 people, 65 of the 1,500 came back because you can't possibly fit all 1,500. So 65 people came back, and out of the 65, 62 of them eventually returned. Okay, so 3 minutes, we're gonna resume a new ID. Yeah, unfortunately, we only have about 3 minutes left. Okay, so I'll be quick. The other thing is, whenever there is these huge retreat or huge gathering, and we have people from Taiwan from different locations as our presenter, we invite them back as well. And not only this is what touched me the most. This is the team that is responsible for the commissioner training program. They thought to themselves, they must have done something wrong, so that 1,500 people turned away. And the whole idea was that they believed they need to improve on themselves. They're doing something right, but there must also be imperfection. So they came back to Taiwan. They began to talk to, on the upper left-hand corner, it's our Hualien team. On the lower right-hand corner, it's in Taiwan, it's in our cafeteria. At night, they were talking to our Dharma master to figure out what they can do to do this. And they gather everybody. And what can they say now? After all of this effort, more than 900 of the 1,500 have decided to return to the program. And this is amazing. I just thought that a lot of time along the way, people left the program and we just say, yeah, let them go. But they went out and got them back. Imagine in the introductory chapter, there were 5,000 people. Okay, 5,000 people that stood up. Well, not in the introductory, but in chapter 2, they stood up and they left. Did we try to get them back? I don't know. But I think the important thing is that I think we were one of those 5,000. And we are still here because somebody made the effort to make us come back. And so whether we are on one side, that's on the 1,500, or on the other side, let's all remember to love. All remember that we use love to love everybody back. So lastly, I think we have no time for this lastly, so I'm just going to skip. So the most important thing is there's so much story and so warming. And next week, we're going to touch on South Africa, which is even more good stories to share with everybody. And I think our time is almost up. Thank you.
We maybe give another moment for more to join us. Today there will be a sharing from Jing Kapong. It's the third Saturday, so all the 7 centers from KL and Selangor will be gathering here for the once a month meetings. Someone will be sharing today. The person is me. Okay. Amitabha, good morning. Master Zhen Yan, Sifu, Brother Joe, Huang, brothers and sisters around the globe. I'm Xiaoqing from Sri Dhammasara SD. Today, I'll be sharing. I've made a pledge. If I couldn't find anyone to share on the day, I will try to talk on something. Please bear with me. Okay. First, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to Master Zhen Yan for picking up my book on 16 November 2015, the day of my commissioning at Ban Chiao, Taiwan. It is a very memorable day. I still remember until today. In the morning, after Master picked up my book, she mentioned my name, but I did not go to see Master. I did not have the confidence. After lunch, during the smaller breakout session, Master again called for my name. Then I went down and knelt, and it was like I couldn't. It was quite empty. I was in cloud 9. I was so excited. I couldn't believe that was real. I just remember I uttered the word "Kan'en." That's it. I thought that was all. But then it was not all. For after that, the same day, Master asked Brother Joe Huang to talk to me. And it's a very important event because after that, somehow I could never believe, because for me, I'm not really an English educated. In fact, I'm a Malay educated person and I can't read Chinese. I never thought I could be able to do all these things. But then Brother Joe keep giving me a lot of encouragement and giving us a lot of guidance, encouragement along the way. Very soon, less than 1 month, on 12th of December 2015, we had this Dharma talk with Hua Lian. It was unbelievable. Looking back, sometimes I also couldn't believe the journey we have gone through. But then it was only one center, which is Jing Kapong, the center here with Hua Lian. Then every Saturday, we would be diligently listening to Lotus Sutra. We have this DVD from chapter 1 because there is an English subtitle. So all of us will be watching the DVD for half an hour. Then we will connect with Hua Lian. It was a very close session because we could ask questions very intimate on the spot. We will ask whatever question in mind, be it like maybe Dharma related or even in our activities related, we will post it to Brother Joe. Soon Brother Yo Ping also joined us. The affinity was such, and then actually everything moved quite fast in this platform. Though our number is smaller, but we could see that the people joining, they are really passionate and they really love listening to Brother Joe, and they love Master's teaching. We have sisters who, despite ill fever, they still drove to the center. And I remember once a sister texted me during Shinfa Xiang. She told me that her car broke down. Sister Gyeoklan. I thought she couldn't make it for the 7 o'clock session, yet she could. I wonder how she did. I don't know. Early in the morning, who could have fixed her car? And then Sister Tammy, I remember every time we will see her with new volunteers, she always, despite sometimes she had less than, 1 to 2 hours slept, she still come. There are so many touching stories. So these small numbers of people, they stick with us. And I remember, okay, in August 2016, the following year, so Brother Joe asked whether if we are okay, he will give us the review of the weekly Lotus Sutra. Of course, we are so excited to hear that because we have been waiting for that. Finally, we have someone to this is more recent. The earlier part which we did was more like we started from the beginning, the introduction part. But now with the review, we are on the pulse with Master. Whatever Master spoke that week, we can understand better with the review by Brother Joe or Brother Yoping. So the affinity has ripened. So from one center, in fact, that time we branched out to more centers. There was a reason for it. Okay, of course we feel that okay, at that point of time, Saturday, actually, we have started hearing Sutra of Infinite Meaning. Then Sunday will be these reviews. So Sunday, we knew that most of us will be so busy with activities. It's impossible to do it one center. We have to branch out. There was 4 centers who were ready. Actually, it was quite not so as simple as that, because most of the participants, imagine when they started joining us in December 2015, they were still volunteers. And then in 2016, they are only GNC. They are not even patient or commissioning, but now they are going back to their own respective places. They have to connect with their CLE to set up this talk. It's like each of them have their own responsibility, but we believe they can. Of course, later we hear about the dragon, the king's daughter. I mean, everyone. At that point of time, I think Master was talking about teachers of Dharma. It was just really all sentient being, everyone. We have the potential. Just we can copy, recite a phrase, and then we can do it. We can be teachers of Dharma. So it was very empowering. Same time, I remember just before that, there was once Master spoke of a story. I still remember until today. It was as though I was there. About this couple, elderly couple, they have their only son, so they hold a feast to celebrate the wedding of their only son. It was very festive. They invited their friends, their family members, everyone to come. It was for like days, festive. So after the celebration, everyone left. Then this young couple, they took a walk. And then I think the bride, she pointed to a flower in a tree. Then the bridegroom went to pluck it. And then he fell off the tree and he died. So the elderly couple, they were so devastated. They were very sad because earlier before that, they had this happy occasion. But then shortly, less than a week, the son just passed away like that. So then they call back all the friends, relatives, all these people who attended the son wedding earlier on to come back. But this time is for a sad occasion to announce the passing of the son. They couldn't take it, this old couple. That time, Buddha passed by and someone invited Buddha to the place, and then this couple asked Buddha what had happened, what caused them to have such misery, what could they have done to get such misery. I remember Buddha shared a story. He mentioned once upon a time there was this group of friends. One of them loved to hunt for animals. During one outing in the jungle, one friend pointed at the bird, and the person who loved to hunt animals should aim correctly and shot at the bird. And then the other 2 friends clapped the hands. The 2 friends that clapped the hands are the parents. And the person who pointed at the bird is the son who passed away. See, such karma, it happens in past life. I still remember until today the story, because I imagine in our current life, imagine now with the internet, everyone, it's so easy for people to like just post a slander or untrue things, and so many others will type in and it got into me. I make a vow, a little pledge that if there is anything I can do, I hope I can help to purify using the internet. Whatever things means, if we want to use internet to spread Master teaching. That was the thing. So this one is like all these little causes. I think all these good thoughts allow us to branch out to more centers as we have today. So I'm very grateful to all the persons who have started centers, and today from 4 we have grown up to I think almost 30, and just nicely we have migrated to Zoom, which allow us to have more than 25 centers. I think everything flows just nicely. Okay, now now we have maybe I wish to share a bit on the live caption. Live caption, Brother Joe and the team, they have started live caption. Means there is this English translation whenever Master speaks on Friday and Saturday in October last year. So we were all very excited. And then in March, I think like 5-6 months after that, we taught one fine day, I all listening to Master. Actually, we have listened to so many great chapters, teachers of Dharmas. Then we had heard about the treasury towers. We heard about the encouraged devotion. All this really get into us. I think we were really suddenly just, yes, we can try to do. Maybe it's time for us to do. We have to. Bearing the armor, but this is not for battle. It's different kind of battle. We have to have forbearance and Buddha's room, great compassionate heart, and emptiness. Buddha's seat. We have to have all these triple track keeping in our heart. We should try. It's time for us to try. So we told Brother Joe of our intention that we wish to try out doing the live caption ourselves. So, of course, Brother Joe is always very encouraging. And we are also very grateful to Office and the English Group Committee. They are also very encouraging. So we started off with training. I could remember there was once during the trial, it was, yes, we were still on the trial. The understanding is that we try first until we are ready. We let see our captions. If we're ready, then only we will announce it officially. But we're still using Google Link to do our live caption. There was one fine morning, I think 4:23 in the morning or 4:32, a sister, she texted me and informed me that last minute she had something on, she couldn't do the live caption. Imagine 4 something in the morning. But actually it was only a trial. Now thinking back, actually we could have it's okay, since our main translator couldn't do it, then we just call it off. No one knows anyway, but we didn't. I just texted another sister, asked her, Sister Sihu, can you take over? Sister Sihu from Penang said, yes, no problem. Then we'll carry on. So 2 weeks later, Brother Joe gave us a green light to post officially. I remember on the first day when we posted the live caption, Sister Suisan was the lead translator. Normally what we did is she will type in the Skype, then another supporting translator will copy and paste and touch up a bit before we post it to Google Link. That day, she said her Skype didn't work. I was thinking, how? Then Sister Suisan very fast, she said, okay, let's use WhatsApp. So we could see that everyone, they are so passionate about this live caption. We have there's a dream that we will do it every day. Solo Master is there, we will be there. Despite our much limitedness, but we will still be there. A lot of us, we started off, we can't understand Chinese. I mean, the Chinese wordings, we can't understand Minami. But yet today, a lot of us, most of us are joining as supporters of this lead translator. We're doing it every day. Officially, there are 4 days live caption, English live caption, 2 days by Hualien, 2 days by Malaysian team. But the others 3 days, we are not resting. There are people always learning to do it. So every day we will offer the Googling with fresh captions. While we are doing it, we have benefited a lot from it. For me personally, each time I do it, I find so much joy. Beginning, of course, sometimes because I'm not qualified to be the lead yet, I'll be the supporter. I find it's quite easy now. I don't really have to think much. I can understand what Master is teaching. But then on the second thought, that is not the reason. We have to work harder. So once the leader translate, the supporter, they have to understand whether this is what Master means. Sometimes if I'm not helping them, there are more people helping already. So most of the time now I'm behind the scene. I will try myself. I will do, and then end of the day I will compare my notes with the leads, and also and sometimes we also get postings from Facebook. So we will compare our notes. It makes us work harder. And we could feel that the Dharma penetrated deeper into us. Not only me, actually, a few sisters, they are doing it. Sometimes they share their notes with me. We compare. It is so wonderful. It's like we have shifted from this level to another. So what we hope now is that we hope that it will be one day it will be official daily. There will be English captions available for everyone. There won't be any person like the Australian brothers who has to sit there, not understanding a single word of what Master is talking. But we are so fortunate that he's so diligent that he's still there for 3 years. Imagine, I'm not sure how many could really do that. We hope that with this availability, language is no longer a barrier. More people can come and enjoy Master teaching. We also hope that to let Master know that we are there to help in our little way, that we are there to support Master and we love Master teaching. Actually, we do understand Master is no longer so healthy. She can always leave her ailing body behind. She has and come back in a better body. Yet Master did not do that. She chose to stay behind and continue giving us the teaching. For that, we are very, very grateful. So, kindness and all your wisdom, I never thought it could happen to me because I'm so quietly, I'm still learning there. I'm very thankful to Hua Lian, Sifu, Brother Joe, Brother Yuping, Sister Su Jing. I have learned so much from you and everyone on this platform, English group, all the office members, staff, and all the brother sisters. They always give me a lot of inspiration. They are so forgiving. They know that I'm not well versed in a lot of things. They always give me guidance. For that, I'm very grateful. And everyone for listening. Actually, I had 2 sleepless nights when I know I need to share. I really cannot sleep for 2 nights already. So I now understand those who share. It's not easy on them. And everyone who dares to come out to share, I'm really grateful. Okay, back to Holly.
阿弥陀佛，感恩 ，Yeah, and good morning, and thanks, Sister Xiaojing shares. It's so inspiring, and I think everything happened for good reason. That's why I can feel that you are very excited and so happy about to share with everything how this group starts and how difficult you encountered. So and also appreciate Master's teaching, and also she never forgets us, and she never forgets the disciples in the overseas countries. So because of you and every one of you in this group makes everything possible, and that Master's teaching can spread out to people who really needs to learn Tzu Chi and wants to do Tzu Chi's work and get to know more about Tzu Chi. And this is our vows, and don't forget, and we have to continue for in our daily lives. So I just want to be so grateful that you invite everyone to this group, and then continue invite more people, more friends or sisters and brothers to do the same thing with us. So just want to be thank you for everything that you have done, and and in the future we also have a lot of difficulties to face. So just remember, no matter what, Master Zheng Yan's teaching is inside of our heart, and we have to live for it and just continue and no look back. Just keep going. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks to Xuan Sifu. Let me quickly reply also to Sister Xiaojing. Yeah, you're trying to share a story of the past, I think 2 years ago in 15 minutes. And I could understand how impossible that is. So not only did you try to pick up as much points as you can, and you also spoke very, very fast. And you know what? It's true. The time flew by. The 2 years flew by really quickly, almost as fast as how you spoke. But it was amazing, and thank you very much. And I just have one more thing I wanted to add that I thought is something very interesting. The last thing you mentioned was that the language is not a barrier. And I want to tell you, it is a barrier. And it's a barrier for those that actually understand the language. I wanted to share with you that a little preview onto next week's African volunteers. They come here, and there are 3 of the youngsters that came to the abode. And they're not listening to the master. They were watching. and they were watching with their ears. You might be thinking, well, how do I look with my ear? No, you don't look that way. But they were listening with their heart. They might not understand the language, but at that moment, they were looking, watching, and they're observing. They're hearing the sound and the voice, not hearing the words, but hearing the sounds. And because of that, their hearts, the heart of the master and the heart of the disciples were actually connected. The gap is bridged, not because of words, but because of the sound. And this is what I was talking about when I shared the story about the US story where you have to purify the 6 roots. Is what are you seeing and what are you hearing? And did you really hear it? Or are you just hearing what's on the surface? If you just understand, if you just hear the words, then it's really on the surface. Can you go deeper? And that's why in the example of the Philippines, it was only one sentence, right? One phrase, one verse. Do not forget, boho, right? It was 4 characters, or in Chinese, it was longer. 不要忘记保和道. 7 characters. And all that it did was 7 characters, on all the things beyond that happened. I wanted to share with you is that Master didn't tell them to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. No, she just said, don't forget. Sometimes we're trapped because we know the language. Sometimes it's a blessing that you don't know the language because you're able to be connected truthfully to the heart. So for those of you that don't understand the language, don't feel bad. Don't feel that that you are left behind. Yes, it's important to try to understand the words, but don't feel bad about not understanding the gap. But try to come to the live session. Sometimes you don't even have to look at the live caption, but see Master. Imagine what she's trying to tell you. Listen to the words that are not spoken. See her for the compassionate person that she is. Listen to her teaching, but not through the words. Because Dharma is not something for us to understood. Dharma is something for us to feel. So how can you feel the words if you know them, if you know the words? If you know the language, it actually hurts you because it blocks you from feeling it. So I want to encourage for all of you that do not speak this language to come and to be in the presence, to feel what she's saying. It's always okay to have a discussion afterwards, to know what she's saying at the time of the same time of the facial expression and all of that. And I think it's important to help you with words, but don't be trapped by those. So I want to go back to that. Language is a barrier, but it's for those that understand it. So on the same side, you are trying to learn something you don't know, and we are trying to unlearn something that we know. And I think what we're trying to get to is a very happy middle ground, a middle ground where we just know enough to do what we need to do, and we can feel what we're supposed to feel. Okay, so Sister Xiaoxing, don't ever let not understanding something stop you, because all you did was on that day, Master mentioned you, and 2 years later, this is what we're doing. Okay, so you also, that one verse and one phrase, that's what we did, and so did we. We're all here because of that too. Granted, I think it was harsher for me. Master, I always remember that day. Always remember. Master wanted me to talk to Sister Xiaoqing, right? And it was a year-end ceremony. So she just, before she left for the ceremony, she told me to look for her. After the ceremony, she comes up and she saw me there again. And she right away asked me, have you gone talk to Sister Xiaoqing, right? And in my mind, I was thinking, well, it was the year-end ceremony. Master, you were there and she was there. I cannot go see her, right? In my mind, it was just, the answer came up, but I didn't say anything. She said, did you go see her? And I just shake my head. I said, I didn't. And then she said to me, and this is something that I'll always remember. She said to me, then what were you doing the whole day? Why are you wasting time? what have you been doing the whole day? And I'm thinking, you know, I can't. You know, she was there in the audience. Master, you were there. I can't go in and interrupt and say, no, Master, hang on. I'm going to talk to her. I can't. But that was what she said. What were you doing the whole day? So right away, I nodded. I said, right away. So I picked up my book. I ran out and I went downstairs, seek out this sister that I, you know, because of her, I got yelled at. And so I don't know. And they were having some meeting, right? So I went to the MC. I told the MC, stop what you're doing. I need to see her right now. So she talked into the microphone and say, I'm looking for Sister Xiaoxing. And I'm sure she was just bewildered, like, whoa, somebody's looking for me. And that's how it all got started. Okay. So yes, I remember what she told me that day. It was, what have you been doing the whole day? So there's always these very small stories that's out there. But when we look back, it was all fun and it was all worthwhile. But I want to share with you that language isn't a barrier if we know how to overcome it, if we know how to use it. And I think right now we are trying our best to bridge that gap, to reach that happy medium. Okay, so that perfectly is now 8 o'clock. That will be our sharing for today. Thanks to all the people here that made it possible, and thanks to you. I think there's some other centers that are not able to come on, but I hope that we will be able to have a much more smooth session next week. And stay tuned. Next week, we're going to have Africa, and that's going to be very, very touching. And we're going to have a new presenter too. So that will be very interesting as well. So thank you all, and have a good day, and thank you, and bye-bye. New presenter. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.